Now, in its 11th year, this is GabNet. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, everybody, live from Harlem in New York City. Yes, it's me. It's Alex, and this is the Ramble. Time now to go out to California. Larry Bubbles Brown in the land of the eternal Waymos.
The eternal Waymos.
Well, I mean, you got
I hope we get you out here so you can take a ride.
You say they're everywhere, right?
Everywhere. All white Jaguars.
And how do you get them? Do you just order them up using an app or something like that?
You have to have the app on the smartphone, yeah.
Oh, well, you don't have an app on the smartphone,
No,
so how are you going to get a
the one thing I
goddamn
want to
Waymo?
do, I can't. Christ.
Why don't you go back to it? You know, they're so simple. I mean, they're made so an old lady or an old man like me can operate them. They're no big deal. You know.
I will say it's a little startling when you see a car drive by you that has nobody in it.
Yeah, well, nobody at all.
No.
Wow. I mean, what are they going around trying to pick up customers?
They're trying to pick up a fare, yeah.
Can you put your hand out and it will stop and take you in? But
put your hand out, it will stop.
Yeah. Then again, you got to probably have a credit card that you put into the.
If you don't have the app, the door's not going to open. So.
Okay, there you are. See, there's every reason for you to get a phone.
Yeah.
You may not want the internet, which, quite frankly, I think if you just stuck with it, you would love. But you didn't stick with it long enough. You stuck with it long enough to hate it.
Yeah, I got bored quickly. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it isn't bored quickly. I mean, when you send mail, it's faster. When you receive mail, it's faster. If you and I were doing this, we'd probably be doing it on Zoom, and I could see you. Well, maybe there is a disadvantage.
Yeah, that's not a plus.
No, but I mean, really, if you think about it, you know, you really should have this just for the convenience of it. I mean, you could not get a Waymo because you don't have an app on your phone. Oh.
That's true. Well, what's next? Pilotless planes.
Maybe. You know, who's to say that isn't an advantage? I mean, when you are driving a car, there's always the human factor involved. And we don't have all the senses available. I mean, like me at the present time in my life, I don't know if I can drive anymore. Haven't driven a car in 5 years, 6 years. And I just don't know if I could do it. You know, I'm a little lightheaded sometimes. I'm a little tired. You know, I mean, I probably, if I got behind the wheel of a car, I could probably do it. I would remember how to do it. But I don't trust myself. And so, therefore, if I had a Waymo driving me, what a great advantage to that. If I had a Tesla that was self-driving, that's terrific, you know. As long as, you know, they have things like with the Tesla or with some of those cars, if you just pump the brake for a second, it will just take off all the self-driving stuff, you know. And so if there's a problem, you can take care of it really fast. But
yeah, I knew someone that took a Tesla from L.A. to San Francisco, and they said they only had to touch the steering wheel 3 times.
Really?
Yeah. So that's almost self-driving.
San Francisco to Los Angeles. Well, he had to stop once to probably charge it up.
Let's see. They probably did, because I think 400 miles, and I think a Tesla will go 300 and something.
Yeah. But, you know, you go decide you want to eat somewhere, and they've got a charger there. You just put the charger into your car, and you go in and get yourself lunch. And an hour later, you come out, and the car's pretty much charged, you know. But
I think with the Tesla supercharger, maybe a lot of the other chargers take a long
you see,
time.
I see the Tesla or any other electric automobile as being really good if I had a home in, say, Marin County, and I wanted to go to the grocery store and I made short hops to do stuff. But if I had to go a long way, then you got a problem. So you probably have to
Yeah.
have two cars,
Right.
and you use the Tesla for the economy of it all. You don't have to pay for gas. You have to pay for the electricity, but I've talked to people who talked about how much electricity was costing them, and it's so much cheaper than buying gas that it's ridiculous, The only reason I wouldn't buy a Tesla is because of who owns the company, That guy's a piece of crap.
You don't like Elon?
Hate Elon. Can't stand him. Look at all the people he put out of work. I mean, it's terrible. Just terrible. So I'm sticking to my guns about Elon. Why, you like Elon?
I think I'm not a big fan of electric cars, but I think he's kind of a genius, and he's sometimes kind of funny.
I don't know that he's a genius as much. I hear that the Tesla car he actually bought from somebody else, that he didn't create it from scratch.
I wouldn't think so.
And then he developed it, however, and made it into a very important car in this country. Sales were incredible. They aren't anymore. They dropped out because of his involvement with Trump. But they were doing really well. And they've lost about 40% of their value, maybe more. So, but I think SpaceX, God bless them. They really took space travel into the future, okay? I mean, when I see those rockets come down and those chopsticks grab them, I go, that's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
That's something. Now, whether he did it, I don't think he did it. He may have come up with the concept, but he may not have come up with the concept either. He just hired a bunch of people who really know what they're doing. And
Steve Jobs.
Huh?
Sounds like Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs wasn't the genius.
He wasn't the genius.
Everybody
no.
made him out to be, but he knew. It was kind of like I knew one guy who ran a big company. Okay, and his whole attitude was, I want people. I can't build these things, but I know what I'd like to play with, and so I tell people to build something that I would like to play with. And he kind of came up with great ideas. It was just he couldn't create them. He couldn't do them. So other people had to do them. But that's what Jobs was. Jobs knew what he wanted to play with. And other people came along with it, and he would approve this or disapprove that or say we don't have enough of this and that. And, when he built the first iPhone, I went to sleep at night dreaming about having one. Because of everything that they did. And this was in the beginning. Forget about apps. That came later. But the fact you could take a picture with it, you could, you can text with it, you can do all these things. There's so much you do with an iPhone now. I don't have a regular phone. And I do everything with my iPhone. I make my appointments with my doctors using my iPhone, It's a great device. It changed the world. I think you'll agree with that.
Oh, yeah. For the worst.
Well, the worst part is that everybody's on them. Okay? You get on a subway, there's nobody looking at each other. They're looking down at their phones. But then again, they got to have something to do while they're taking the most miserable ride in the world. So,
That would be. And the Tesla is really just a rolling computer.
Basically, it is a huge computer that happens to be a car, and but he did a great job of developing it, and telling people what he wanted in it, and then they came up with it. You know, he knew how to hire the right engineers and the right technical people. And so that's where you got to give him credit as an administrator. Not that he was able to come up with all the programming for the car. So.
And it takes pictures if you get near it when it's parked. And
Really? Does it? I didn't know
take
that.
video. People walk by, yeah.
Wow. Well, anyway, so, you know, listen, it's a great car. I don't deny that. California, I hear you walk down the street and it's one Tesla after another.
Oh, yeah, they're all over.
Yeah. Here in New York, no.
Really?
Yeah, because to begin with, there's several things, several negatives to the Tesla in owning it in New York, one of which is just the charging. Okay, where do you charge it? How many garages have chargers? You know, and it's very difficult to own a Tesla here. So that's the reason why we don't have them here. It's exactly that. So, you know, we have. I mean, I take Lyft to get around. And that's a form of Uber. And I take Lyft, and occasionally I get a car, and it's a Tesla. You know, and I ride in it, and I'm just amazed by it. You got a big screen in the front about the size of a huge iPad. And they're driving down the street, and it's creating little images, like of people walking and cars in front of you and so on. And then when I see an image of a guy walking down the street, I look to the side of me, and there he is. You know? So you're seeing everything as you're driving down the road. And I said, can this car be, driverless? And he said, yeah, absolutely. He said, all I have to do is flip a switch. He said, I'm not going to do it while you're riding in it, you know, because you'll feel uncomfortable with it, but this car is fully capable of, and it was not one of their top cars, you know. It was just a regular old Tesla. So anyway, there were some questions I wanted to ask you, and I forgot to ask you, and then I forgot what I wanted to ask you about your life and about the way you live it. And then I figured, I can't remember what it was. It were a bunch of things about you and your day-to-day life, and I just forgot completely. Isn't that amazing?
It'll come back to you as soon as we end this call.
Oh, yeah, as soon as we end the call.
So write it down. We'll do it next time.
No, I just wanted to find out more about Larry Brown. Like, do you have brothers or sisters?
It's an open, boring book, yes. I do have a sister.
You have a sister. Okay. And does she look like you, or?
No, she's attractive. So.
She's attractive. Boy, you have such a low opinion of yourself. Oh, no, she's attractive. Unlike myself, I'm a what was the term they used on Seinfeld? Don't look at me. I'm a monster or something like that.
Turn away.
Turn away. I'm a monster. I look hideous. Hideous is a great term.
Yeah, I love that word. And
yeah.
I wanted to tell you about the. I follow cars. What happens in cars? And the newer cars are like. They are now transmitting so much information about you. Like the new cars will tell your insurance company, "Oh, he just went 80 miles an hour."
Really? I don't want a car. Yeah. I don't want a car that rats on me.
They're ratting you out, yeah.
Yeah. And they rat you out like that?
And the next thing is coming up is they're going to be able to, if you're going too fast, they're going to slow you down.
Well, that's not a bad idea, is it?
Unless you're trying to get away from someone or go to a hospital.
Maybe, yeah. You should be able to well, it's still, you try to take somebody to the hospital, you should not be exceeding the speed limit. Because, what do you want to do? Kill them in a crash? So I mean, it's not a bad idea to slow the cars down when they're going too fast in an area. But
And there's so much stuff on cars now. There was a story about a Ford truck to replace the taillight turned out to be $5,700
what?
because all the camera and computer shit went through that portal or something.
Oh boy! Wow! And this was
That's an expensive taillight.
That's a very expensive tail light. Wow, that is amazing. Do you think about I was going to ask you. One of the things I wanted to ask you about was: do you think a lot about politics? I mean, do you pay attention to it?
I try to avoid it. I just I don't like either party.
Yeah, but I mean, for instance, you watch somebody like Donald Trump, who obviously you can make any number of jokes about, and yet you'll never use those jokes in your act.
No, even if unless you're a political comic, I think it's stupid to. Because even if you do a Trump joke in San Francisco, I think 35% of the city voted for Trump, so you want to lose a third of the audience. So
Yeah.
I leave that up to people like Durst.
You leave it up to Durst, yeah.
Yeah.
The other question that I had was, I mean, do you never get dirty, do you?
I went through a blue phase when we were doing Bobby Bitter and that stuff years ago.
Yeah, but you were doing that via a character you had created.
Yeah, and I don't have anything that's. I think you could use it on broadcast TV.
Yeah, I mean, most of your stuff, what I've seen you is just,
Yeah, and I prefer to be. I think I like clean comics. I don't know. I love Brian Regan.
Well, Jerry Seinfeld.
And Seinfeld.
Seinfeld never had a dirty act at all. You know, and he didn't want to rely on that. Sometimes people, sometimes I say comedians rely on the word fuck as a punchline. And, it's easy to get a laugh with that, but it's not a genuine laugh. You know what I'm saying?
It's a cheap laugh.
Yeah. I mean, so if you go on and you're clean for your whole act and you get a lot of laughs and people walk away saying, yeah, that was a funny guy, it's legitimate, And I don't think you want to get your...
No, and there's certainly been dirty comics. I think we both love Kinnison, right?
Right.
And Schimmel.
Schimmel, but here's what Schimmel did. This was the interesting part about Schimmel. Schimmel, by the way, was a comedian, folks, who was a very funny comedian. And if you go onto YouTube, you can find videos of him, and you'll see why we say he's a very funny comedian. But everybody said he was really dirty. And the thing was, yes, he was, but he wasn't. And here's what I always found, and I asked him about it, and he agreed that that was his way of working. He would do a joke, and the setup would be dirty.
The setup was filthy. The punchline was clean.
Exactly. It was just some very funny stuff, but the setup was dirty and the punchline was clean. And I don't know how he did it, but he did it. And I mentioned it to him, and he said, yeah, absolutely. That's the way I structure my act. And working blue is not necessarily, a good thing. I would agree with Seinfeld,
the older comics, like Mort Saul, Groucho Marx, did not like dirty comics.
I never heard that they said that, but I would imagine.
I heard Groucho in an interview. Yeah, didn't like the blue.
Well, you know why? I think they saved that for the Friars Club. I don't know if you've ever been to the Friars Club for just a normal get together of the comics when they hold a little show together.
I heard they're like those roasts. They're just really raw.
I went to one night. It wasn't a roast. It was, I can't even remember what the occasion was. Maybe it was somebody's birthday or something like that. And they had a bunch of comics like Freddie Roman, a lot of the classic comics, okay? The ones we used to make fun of as being old and, old style and all of that. And they got up, and I got to tell you, that was the funniest show I've ever seen in my life. And it was so filthy that it was amazing how filthy it was, So I can't say that I don't like filthy jokes, but these shows at the Friars Club, man, what would happen is comedians who spent their whole time being clean in those days, you had to be, otherwise you didn't work, but you had to be clean. Either that or they put out a record that people bought, like Red Fox and so on. But otherwise, you were clean. So when you went to the Friars Club and you were there with other comics, you didn't care whether you were dirty or not. And you got a chance to just blow it out. And, man, when they did it, I mean, I saw one, and I said, that's the funniest show I've ever seen. And it was all these comics like Freddie Roman who would turn around and go to a club and do their act, and there wasn't one filthy moment in it. Who I remember who was? Oh yeah, yeah. Who died at a Friars Club roast? You were just sitting next to them, and all of a sudden, next thing they knew, he was dead.
Was the father of a comic?
Yep.
Oh, it was Bob Einstein's father.
Yeah, or Albert Brooks's father.
Albert Brooks's father.
And his name was Harry Einstein, I think. I can't remember now. And he was at a roast, and they were roasting, I think, Lucille Ball. And
I think you're right, in the 55 or something.
He got up, he did his act, and he killed. Just killed. Sat down and dropped dead.
Well, that's a great way to go.
I guess would you like to? You'd like to go that way, wouldn't you?
That'd be amazing. Yeah.
Be on stage, have a heart attack, and die.
Yeah. Like
there are
Dick
several
Shawn.
comics that's happened to. Remember.
Dick Shawn.
Dick Shawn. Dick Shawn was doing his act, fell to the floor of the stage, screamed out something like, "I'm having a heart attack" or something, and then dropped
and they thought it was a bit,
and
so nobody went up for 5 minutes.
Nobody went up because they thought it was a bit. And he was lying there dead for like 5 minutes before anybody said, "I don't think this is a bit." And they had people believed him at the moment, he might have lived through the situation. We don't know. But they all thought it was all part of the act. Admittedly, a good part of the act, I mean.
He was great.
Dick Shawn, yeah, they were all great. These old comics, I look back on them, and there's nobody like them anymore. I mean, who do people put up in a high category these days? Amy Schumer. She's funny, but she's not like the old comics. What do you have an old comic you liked in particular?
I liked Shelley Berman.
Yeah, Berman was terrific.
I had his records.
Newhart was amazing.
Who?
Newhart.
Oh, great! Yeah.
Yeah.
Winners and who were like some of the Catskill comics. I guess when I was a kid, I thought Henny Youngman was funny, and now I think he's kind of.
Well, Henny Youngman he was funny because he was a joke in and of himself. I mean, just a one line that lasts forever. Take my wife, please.
Classic.
Yeah, take my wife, please. I mean, he was a bunch of one-liners, which you can appreciate because that's what you are, basically, one after another. And some of them were funny and some of them weren't. And it was the kind of act where you waited till the funny joke came. You might have to go through a bad joke to get to it, you know. But it was just a great. He was good in a bad way. How's that? You know.
Yeah. And I never knew where you probably know where are the Catskills?
Oh, the Catskills are just north of New York. It's a whole series of mountains where they had like clubs and they had what do you call it, resorts. And the resorts.
How many miles out of New York?
Oh God, I'd say maybe 100. You know, and the resorts all had a showroom. And then they would hire comics to come up and play in the Catskills. And sometimes they would do theater and they do a lot of other things up there, too. But when you come here, we'll go up to the Catskills. Just to
we'll take a Waymo.
Yeah, and right. Waymo money. Anyway, thank you. We've run out of time.
Yeah, it was quick.
Yeah, that's Larry Bubbles Brown, ladies and gentlemen. You can see him at a comedy club near you if it's within a 25-mile radius of San Francisco.
Soon you'll see me in a Waymo.
Right, taking him to a gig. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex.
Larry Bubbles Brown.
Now, in its 11th year, this is GabNet. Talk like you've never heard it before.
And there was Larry Bubbles Brown. Of course, I always say we love Larry. I just something about Larry that just really, really excites me when I talk to him. You know, he's so intelligent, he's so bright, and I love that about him. Anyway, hello, everybody. We're back again. We weren't on last night because today I had to go get more dental work done today. And I had to get up early because we had to go all the way up to Scarsdale to get it. We took a lift, okay? And when I took a lift up there to Scarsdale one time, I went, well, it's got to be expensive. And then I was surprised. It only cost me about $40. So today we decide we're going to take another lift to get up there, Marjorie and I, because we both have appointments with the dentist there. And we had to go up there because it's the only place she has her laser machine. Okay? I don't want to have to explain that. But anyway, so we call up, I get onto Lyft, $80 to get up to Scarsdale. $40 more than I used to pay to go up there. And so we go up there, and with the tip and everything, it comes to $100. So add that to an already expensive dental bill, and I mean, it doesn't take that long. It only takes about a half hour to get up there. But if I go downtown now, it's $50. So I mean, it's really gotten more expensive to take cars. And now I'm starting to take Lyft, but then I'm also taking what do you call it? I try the other one. What's the Uber? I try Uber. I check out Uber now to see what their price is in comparison. Actually, Uber is cheaper. So anyway, my tongue. I got a little tongue here because she was working on my mouth this morning. And she was having to go in deep and clean out stuff from my gums and then regenerate the gums using a laser, which she told us is a ground-shattering device for the use of dental work. So anyway, we did that. And that was our day going to the dentist. And so and then last night, in the middle of the night, I got a horrible stomach ache. So I found myself on the commode for like, an hour? A half hour. And I mean, it was just, so I didn't get enough sleep. And then we come home and I'm trying to get some sleep, but I can't. So here we are, folks. How are you? Good to see you. There was something I wanted to say before we get going here, and I just, I really wish I had the same abilities I once had in expressing myself and doing a whole monologue about how I feel about things and so on, but I find it more difficult to do. I don't know why. I guess just that I'm older, and I've lost some of my chops, okay? But I just keep thinking that I've got to talk about the fact that this guy Trump has got to be stopped. I mean, this is getting ridiculous as to how bad it is getting and how much he is ruining this country. And it is, when I look at the various things he does that he's getting away with. I mean, he shouldn't. No other president could get away with this. They'd be all over him. Somehow, this guy has managed to master control like nobody I can name, and he's got to be stopped. I don't know how you stop him, but the Democratic Party is not good enough to stop him. Okay, because really, right now, the Democratic Party are a bunch of pussies. All right, and while they say, Schumer says we sent him a stern letter. Oh yeah, he doesn't even read. Okay, so how's a stern letter going to help? All right. So I made this big deal, stern letter, right? That's the kind of thing the Democrats are doing. The Democrats, they don't have much power right now, but they certainly can try and do some kind of intervention and, even take some of the money the Democratic Party has raised, and I'd be glad to send the money if they started doing this, to help various people who are being affected by Donald Trump's idiocy to go and sue him, A good example would be... Okay, good example. Harvard, the things going on up at Harvard, where they have told Harvard that if you can't bring in any alien students any longer, you have to stop doing that. Well, but to begin with, what right does the government have to say you have to stop doing that? Secondly, why should they? Those foreign students, by the way, of which there are about 23%, I think I saw as a number at Harvard, pay full price for their college education. Nobody else but the alien students have to pay 100%. And then the money from that 100% goes to taking people who are disadvantaged and are definitely Harvard material, but just can't afford it, and help to make them afford it. And this is because of people who are aliens paying full price. Okay? So, to do away with that and to tell them they can, and to Harvard's credit, they're just suing the Trump administration and they're not putting up with it. But then you go along with somebody like Columbia up the street here from me. They caved. They absolutely caved. I see this. Yeah, it's where she worked today. Okay. Anyway, I just noticed that. But I mean, it's just amazing to me, and I just don't know how to deal with it anymore emotionally. It's horrible. It's horrible. I can't stand it any longer. And I should just say, hey, I'm 85. I'm going on 86. Who knows how much longer I'm going to live? Maybe I'll live another 10 years or whatever. Maybe I won't live another 5 minutes. I may die right in the middle of this show. But no matter what, okay, I would like to see something be done about this guy. He's got to be stopped. At least you got to put an arrow in his foot or something to slow him down. But I don't wish him any harm, mind you, because harm means that we then get J.D. Vance, who's just a really total moron. Okay, so I mean, and then if let's say J.D. Vance gets sick, we then get the guy who's the Speaker of the House of Representatives, whose name I keep forgetting. I don't know why. But anyway, he's an idiot too. But it isn't until I think we get maybe to number 4 that we get somebody decent, and I think it might be a Democrat. I think it happens to be the I don't know. I know somebody that probably knows the various effects here of who comes first, second, and third, and I think that might be Josh. Let me see here. Let me bring Josh up here. Here we go. There's Josh, and there's Jeff, and that's all we have tonight. By the way, I don't do a show for one night, and look at what I get. Anyway, hello, Josh. Who is it? President, Vice President, Speaker of the House, right?
Well, what's the question?
The question is if the president dies, it's then the vice president.
Yeah.
If then the vice president dies, it's the Speaker of the House.
Speaker of the House, yeah.
Who's after that?
Should be the President Pro Tem of the Senate.
Of the Senate. Okay, so who would the President Pro Tem of the Senate be now? Is that
They
enough?
changed all the leadership around when the Republicans took control.
Mm-hmm.
It was Chuck Grassley, but I don't know if they took him out of that or not.
Really?
Yeah, he had done it for a long time.
How far do we have to go before we get a Democrat?
Well, they don't control any branches of government, so pretty far. Because, I think after that, I think it swings back into some other areas, maybe a cabinet secretary or something. So, pretty far.
Yeah. There was a I can't remember what the movie was. It was called Bed Sitting Room. It was a movie, a strange little movie made in England, in which it was a parody on things, and they had a whole bit about that everybody in the government had been killed, and the only person left, if you went down further, when it came to the royal family, everybody in the royal family had been killed, except when you went all the way down, it was like Mrs. Robert Smith of New Quisling, England, or whatever, and that's what I imagine if we lost everybody. There is one. Is that true? Like I did with that TV show, that there is a what they call a
designated survivor.
Designated survivor that doesn't go to the speech every year to the.
Yeah, they do for large events. They do separate out, someone in the line of succession for security
To stay home. Yeah.
They have like a protocol, I believe, that they've labeled as like the continuity of government protocol. So, in a emergency situation or with death, they follow the protocol for the continuity of government.
Mm-hmm.
And, they just go by that working document and list. And I think it's all been laid out by statute through Congress. I mean, it's all signed off, legal, the whole thing. And that's the little sheet they work off of. And they have some, security guidelines for large events and things like that. And they do separate someone out, at times.
So somebody stays home, basically.
No, yeah, stays in another, secure location. That way, if there is a large event attack that, it doesn't even have to kill everybody. It could temporarily, have them off the grid or something. Somebody's there to, be in charge.
But what happens when you have oh, look who's coming early, Don Giller.
Well,
Really? Oh, there he is. Hello, Donald.
The succession: Vice President, Speaker of the House, President pro temp, as Josh said. Next is Secretary of State, Secretary of the Treasury, Secretary of Defense, Attorney General, Secretary of the Interior, Secretary of Agriculture, of Commerce, Labor, Health and Human Services, Housing and Urban Development, Transportation, Energy, Education, Veterans Affairs, and Homeland Security. That's 18. No Democrats.
No Democrats.
No Democrats. And a bunch of idiots.
Let's see. Yeah, it says here, bunch of idiots.
A bunch of idiots, yeah. Yeah, I just, I always wondered, I understand also that the vice president will never travel in the same plane or same conveyance as the president.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, I think that was you discussed that earlier. I think because of Kennedy and LBJ.
Was that it?
I think.
Well,
Yeah,
I think they can do that now, but I don't know how often it's done. I don't know if they absolutely forbid it. I mean,
well, I mean, when what's his name? When Trump went over to kiss ass with the Saudis, what's his name didn't go with him. The vice president didn't go with him, and he's usually at everything with him. At the White House.
Well, presidents and vice presidents historically have not taken foreign trips together.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not typical to have both out of the country, and certainly for long periods of time. That's not typical.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when Obama took those same kinds of trips, Joe Biden didn't go with him.
Yeah.
So I mean, they typically don't do that kind of stuff together. But that's why a lot of times, like if they go to like a state funeral or something, both of them don't always go. I mean, they kind of separate it out. But like domestically, they make appearances and things together all the time. I don't know that they don't both fly on the same plane if they were going to or whatever. I mean, it might work out that way a lot because of the way their schedules work, but I don't know that they absolutely forbid it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was wondering about that.
I mean, if they were going to go to a presidential funeral or something, and they were both going to attend, and they were both going from the same place, Washington or whatever, I don't know that they would take two separate aircraft or anything. I mean, they might, but I don't think they.
I think they take two different lifts.
One takes an Uber and one takes a Lyft.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard that. No, I just wonder about that. And I just, I mean, not that we would wish them to both get in trouble at the same time, but the fact is that, well, no matter what happens now, Alan, there's some idiot that's going to be president of the United States. I mean, you heard the Secretary of Defense is early up on that list. Do you want that guy as president?
No.
I think what we have to do is we have to just somehow blunt this guy a bit, and we have to do something to slow him down. As I say, shoot the arrow in his foot, because it's getting ridiculous. It's getting horrible. Today, here's the thing he did. Today, he wanted to, and I can't see how we can do this. He wants to impose a 25% tariff on which nation? Anybody have an idea of which nation? Well, I'm sorry, it isn't a nation. It's Apple.
Private company.
The private company. Can you impose a tariff on a private company?
No.
You know.
I don't even know that Congress would have the power to do that, to be honest with you. But I mean, that'd be pretty. I'd really have to look into that. But
Trump said today that if they, Apple says they're going to start making all their iPhones in India instead of China, because then they can bypass the tariff. And Trump said, no, if you use India, we're going to charge you 25%. Well, how do you charge them 25%? They're a private company, for crying out loud.
Because he can't and he won't. That's the easiest answer.
Yeah, but while you say he can't, he can. Okay, if you get what I'm saying, he will
No,
do
no,
it.
I don't, because the courts will disallow it.
Yes, but first it's got to go through the courts. In the meantime, he's giving them a hard time, and they unless some court says you can't do that, then they're going to have to live with it until they go to court and prove that they shouldn't. I mean, it's just that there's too much court work. I mean, how many people are suing the president right now? It's
Well,
got to be
I mean,
off the
for
charts. What?
when it just falls to like one company, like Apple, for example, they could probably go to court and get an injunction in less than 72 hours.
Which
And
is what I'm sorry.
and then the argument that they made at the Supreme Court that these nationwide injunctions shouldn't be allowed wouldn't come into standing because by their own admission they said that when an injunction is given for just like one person, the actual person that's doing the suing, we even admit that's okay. It's these nationwide bans we don't like. So if he were to put something in writing that just said, this tariff is imposed on iPhones that come in made by Apple, or the fancy words they would use, would go to court, I'm sure, and they'd probably get an injunction. And like I said, it probably wouldn't take them more than, I mean, if he did it on a Monday, by Friday it would all be blown over. I would.
Yeah. I mean, the courts have already told Trump he can't dictate his terms to Harvard about the foreign students.
Yes,
That one took less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
For example,
but
and again, they can't challenge that one either because by their own admission, in their arguments last week before the Supreme Court, where they cried about these injunctions, they said they don't like the nationwide injunctions, but the ones where individual organizations or individuals are doing the suing and getting the injunction, that's fine. Which, is some of the justices at least, rolled their eyes at because they literally said, so if he makes a rule that affects Alex Bennett, Josh Wheeler, Jeff Stein, Charlie Wallace, Alan, Don, and Tony, and Alex Bennett comes to court and he sues, and we say that he can't do that, your argument is Alex Bennett now gets a reprieve, but Josh W. and Jeff and Don, Alan and Charlie and Tony don't. And they literally said, yes, they have to join together as a class or they have to sue individually. And then they went around in circles about how hard it is to get considered a class.
Yeah.
Especially in federal court. It takes a lot of work. So, I mean, that was what the whole thing was about. But,
do you think he has the Supreme Court on his side, or do you think they are now starting to get a little tired of this game?
Well, on that particular deal, I mean, it was kind of hard to tell. I mean, some of the points, that they made, I understand, and I could tell the justices understood that this whole thing about injunctions is getting out of hand, but it's been getting out of hand for, 20 years or 25 years because presidents now basically do, for political reasons, they do a lot of things on, look, I signed this order when Congress won't take care of it. And then someone sues and we get this nationwide injunction. They even said these things are getting out of hand. But the alternative is what I just said, which is every time they make a rule, everybody that's affected by the rule either needs to join together as a class, which is, a big deal in itself, or they all need to sue individually, which is impossible. The courts would be overrun 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But, I will say it's a little skeptical because some of the argument that they made was, the courts don't have the power to do this. The courts don't have the power to do that. The courts this, the courts that. And when you're standing at the court and you're telling them they don't have power, they're just like everybody else. I don't typically think they like that, And, Chief Justice Roberts is never been shy about the fact that his favorite justice ever is Chief Justice Marshall, and, the first person to really assert that the court has the power to do judicial review and Marbury v. Madison and so on and so forth. And it's hard to believe that he's going to be in favor of saying courts don't have these powers. I mean, he might. I don't know. I mean,
Well,
but
all I know is
it's kind
that
of hard they want to give up power to somebody like
a
Trump.
while back, the Supreme Court told Donald Trump, you can't do something, and he went ahead and kept doing it. Now, how do the people on the court, even the ones that he put there and that supposedly have been in his corner, how are they going to feel about that? Isn't that kind of snubbing your nose at the Supreme Court? You know? And aren't they going to say, hey, we're tired of this game, pal? You know? But I don't know.
I mean, they're like regular people. I mean, I'm sure that they don't appreciate the fact that when he is around, he constantly has them wrapped up in some sort of deal that makes their life more difficult. And I don't just mean like,
well,
didn't they? And it's work, because case and work is their job, and I think they like that. I mean, I'm talking about the constant, harassment and being followed,
okay, but let me
security and being yelled at. It's all because of him.
Yes, Charlie.
I gotta go. I'm sorry.
Why do you have to go?
I gotta pick up my girlfriend's grandson.
Oh, okay. All right. Good seeing you, Charlie. Glad you were here tonight.
Thanks.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Anyway, the point that that I think is that they cause themselves more problems than they imagine when they made the decision that the president doesn't have to, he has immunity in a lot of situations, and then that means that they're going to be up to their ass in cases. If they did it the other way, where he wasn't immune, or they just didn't rule on it, he'd be a little more careful in things that he did. But he feels he can get away with anything right now. So,
Yeah, but when you became a Supreme Court judge,
yeah.
your idea is to be independent.
Well, ideally.
And why not? You can't throw that guy out, right?
Well, ideally, the only real job you have, and correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, is to interpret the Constitution as it applies to various cases that are brought before you. Am I right, Josh? Is that basically their job?
Yeah, right, that's their primary job. That and to settle issues of legality that lower courts have not been able to settle. That they find interesting enough.
Yeah.
Like copyright, and I mean they get into a lot of tax stuff and stuff like that. But
by the way, also I want to say hello to Ray, and I want to say hello to Tony. Hello, Tony.
Hey, Alex, how's your teeth going? I went to the dentist too. I heard you had.
Did you go to the dentist today? What did he do to your teeth?
I did a deep cleaning like a month ago, which wasn't too bad. I don't want to go off topic. So I heard you. I was listening to.
Well, they did deep cleaning on me today in a few teeth, but they used a laser to do it.
I heard. Did you feel that, Alex?
No, you don't feel the laser.
Oh, really?
No.
Okay. She just scrubbed it, really.
I know. They get down there and they dig in there. Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
That's really fun, isn't it?
I hate it. I was out $900 after all said and done.
Yeah, of course. Ray,
I have to go next week. I need a new crown. It's gonna cost several $1,000s.
What, for a crown?
They make a lot.
Going to the dentist in California is an absolute ripoff in the Bay Area. Some people actually go to like Fresno and stuff like, or Modesto.
Wow.
You got the wrong dentist, Ray. My dentist has crowns. Got one a couple weeks ago for $1,200.
Well, I'll tell you a story. I had a girlfriend.
I'll try to switch.
I had a girlfriend once. I had a girlfriend once. I know you don't believe that, Don, but I had a girlfriend once, and she was working her way through college. I hate to admit that, and she had a job, and her job was she worked for a company that made crowns.
Oh, really?
And then, she would deliver them to the dentist. They'd take the mold and they'd make the crown. And she said, by the way,
how much?
Do you know how much, she says, you know how much it costs to make one of those things? She says, the dentist pays 50% of the cost.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
and then they charge you the other 50%, and along with the 100%. They literally charge you 100%, but they only pay 50% for the crown.
They make hours.
Now, my question is, shouldn't there be companies that you can go to that have, like, they make crowns for people and they will install them in your mouth?
Like if you went direct, like just cut out the dentist.
Well, no, I mean, that you have a place where you go and it's called, like, Crowns Are Us, right?
Yeah, I would have.
And they do all the they do all the molding and everything like that. Either that or your dentist makes a mold and then you take it to these guys and they make you a tooth and you take it back to your dentist and he plops it in your mouth.
So it isn't quite as simple as you make it sound, is it? The dentist has to cut the tooth first, and then put the crown on top. Have the crown.
What do you mean cut the tooth?
They cut away the decay or the crack or whatever.
Kind of like make it small, like almost like it looks like.
All I'm saying is 50% markup on something like
that's
that.
That's a nice cut up.
And so they get charged $1,000 and you wind up being charged $2,000.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what it cost me.
I don't have dental insurance. I don't need it.
You must got good teeth.
The first crown I've had in years.
I got to find out where you're going.
Of course, most of my teeth are already crowned. So.
Yeah.
You're going somewhere in Union City, huh?
I sent it to you in a text. Yeah.
You know what I told my dentist, Alex? I didn't think it was funny. I said I can't wait for dentures so I can eat anything I want.
Well, I once said if I had my way, pull every tooth out of my mouth.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Wait a minute, replace it with dentures that are implants, right?
That's what I have.
I want to eat everything. Yeah.
Is that what you have?
I have 3 implants.
Yeah.
And almost everything else is either a veneer or a crown.
Really?
Because my teeth I got punched in the face when I was a kid.
Really?
And it broke like all these teeth here, and eventually, by the time I was like 25, they all died. And
well, I mean, you just you go get yourself upper dentures and bottom dentures, and then have them put into implants.
Yeah, let's go back to the pizza place.
No problem. See you later.
Yeah.
The implants are great. They're like you're like Superman, man. I mean, like
you can probably eat anything you want, right? Right? It doesn't even matter.
On the 2 implant teeth, yeah.
Yeah.
The 2 that are right here.
Well, I talked to my dentist today. We were talking about implant. She drove us back, by the way.
I heard you got a lift. That's what I heard.
She gives us a lift back. Yeah. So I was asking her about implants. I said, because it was amazing, how fast implants were now. They just, I had a tooth pulled. Her husband put in a implant in there. Drilling, put an implant in there, and that was it. And then a couple of weeks later, I went back and he had a crown for it. Put it on there. And I said to her, how come it's so fast now? She says, well, if you don't have any real issues, she said that we can do that. She said that but she said that there are different implants. There are good implants, there are so-so implants, and then there are bad implants.
They're outplants.
They're outplants.
I don't want that one.
So, Alex,
and I said, hold on a second, let me just finish. I just said, as the consumer, how do I know the difference? She says, you don't.
Great.
She said, we use the best, but some people just, they'd rather just go with a cheaper version of it and still charge you a lot of money.
Well, that's why I've stuck with my dentist. This guy, he uses the really expensive stuff. He does an awesome job. But he's expensive. But I have to tell you, all the colors, I have one tooth that I did somewhere else. It doesn't match the color of the rest of the teeth.
Yeah.
And he matches it perfectly.
How much dental work have you had, Don?
Well, before I say, I want to ask, when the dentist began her laser treatment, did she first tell you, no, Mr. Bennett, I expect you to die?
No, but it's a new way they deep clean teeth and restore the gums. Rather than cutting the gums and stuff, they use a laser, and the laser supposedly is painless and it heals fast, and
that would be cool. Like in James Bond, if you could lay in a chair
I get a little tricky.
And some guy cuts off your penis? Well, okay, yeah.
Yeah, well,
All right.
oops, I'm sorry. God damn, I hit the wrong button.
Yeah,
They should
wrong
have
knee.
like vasectomies are us. Wouldn't that be
But
cool?
anyway, how do we get from Trump to
that was me, I'm sorry.
with great
But a lot-
effort.
Lot more interesting.
The dental
to talk
work.
about
With
dental
great
work.
effort.
Tony brought it up.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was just wondering how you made
No,
it.
it's okay.
No, thank you.
Yeah, really. Tired of
Hey,
talking about the.
Did you guys bring up Trump? I was going to ask you guys this. Maybe Don or Alex might answer. Can he get away with that with Harvard? Because my brother's like pissed off about this too. Is he? I mean, I never heard of this guy, a president.
With what? I didn't catch your. I didn't
Like
catch
with the
your-
Harvard students,
Oh,
can
Harvard.
he actually block this? I can't see it.
No, he didn't block it. He said they can't take alien students any longer.
How can you say that though? I don't get this.
Well,
guy.
he can say it. He can't maybe make it happen. But he says, we're just not going to send you government money anymore if you're taking them. And the answer is, what right does this motherfucker have
That's exactly it.
to tell a company like Apple that they have to give a 25% tariff? I didn't think tariffs were against companies.
And
By the way, he wants to charge them that as long as they don't make the iPhone in America. Well, let's say tomorrow Apple says, okay, Donald, we don't want any problems. We are going to start making in the United States. We'll be up and running in 6 years. I mean, how long does it take to get up and running?
They're also going to be extremely expensive.
I was just going to say that. How much more are they going to cost us, right?
Up 25% more.
Yeah.
I mean, if he has his way.
Oh no, not if they're made in America. They'll cost a lot more than that.
More
No.
than 25%.
But that's not the point.
Oh.
Okay, that's not the
And
point.
didn't Tim Cook go to that dinner and throw him a couple of $1 million?
Yes,
too?
he did. Tim
Right, he
Cook.
gave him the muscle money, the mafia money over there.
Yeah. So it's the only person that got anything out of this was Elon Musk, because all those Afrikaners got to come here because they're running away from the country. All 10 of them.
Did you hear that?
Come on in.
What?
A picture that Trump had displayed proving that there were atrocities against white people in South Africa.
Yeah, they were all pictures that were taken in the Congo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there in the Oval Office showing this guy from South Africa, the prime minister, pictures of these horrible things in South Africa, including a trail of cars going past crosses and things like that, and all kinds of demonstrations and so on and so forth. And it turns out they were all video and photographs from the Congo. Not from South Africa. And the head of South Africa was going, I don't know what that is. Can you tell me where you found those pictures? He couldn't figure it out where it was. He said, I don't know of anything like that happening. So, I mean, it's just amazing that he just could so blatantly do that. Yes, Ray.
I was just, with Harvard, isn't he threatening to revoke the visas of these students?
No, he's saying if you take the students, we're not going to send you any money. You're going to be in even more trouble with us.
He is saying that if the students that are there need to transfer, or he'll revoke their.
Yeah, the ones who are there now, they have.
Right.
He's going to revoke their visas.
That's right.
Oh boy.
The ones who are already students.
Yep.
Can you throw him on? I mean,
Well, anyway, hello, Bree. How are you? It's time to play.
Hi,
Let's guess what Bree is eating.
For $2.50.
Yeah.
I had Chinese anyway.
Yeah.
Called to say that it only costs $4 to get a crown in Malaysia.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
Made
You gotta go to Thailand.
You got to go to Thailand to get that. So
nothing like a good Thai dentist.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So anyway,
Where are you? Because there was someone who walked behind you just now.
yeah, I'm at a restaurant.
Well, of course.
else?
Yeah. What was it?
He's always at a restaurant.
On a bus or in a restaurant.
this is a little lunch place, right?
It's ready. How many
That's
hours?
right.
Oh, she has masks on.
Yeah, they do
Yeah, they
have.
wear masks.
Why are they using masks? Is there
Because they're smart.
It's hygienic.
just
You
like
don't trust anything. Yeah.
not everybody wears them? Well, they all seem to be wearing them, but they seem to be waiters too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're not wearing one.
No. I mean, I could. I've got one in my pocket.
Yeah. We just realized that under a chair here, we have about 50 face masks that we're not using. And Marjorie says, I think we should throw them away. I said, the day we throw them away, there's suddenly going to be an epidemic.
That Monday,
Yeah,
Alex, it'll be another COVID coming out. You
Yeah.
probably get $20 a mask if it gets another pandemic. I used to have to beg for those masks from the lady across the street in the deli.
Yeah.
One of the things, it's not, I don't know if it's cheaper or not, but our cat got sick. And basically, it's going through all the MRI, CT scan, surgery, it's from $2,000
For a cat?
less. Yeah.
Who here has a pet that they've taken
Hey, I
to a
have pet
vet
insurance.
recently?
They actually raised me, and I didn't even put a claim in.
Yeah, but how
I
much?
had a dog, but we didn't ever have to do that.
Yeah, I mean, but they have everything for pets that they have for humans, and they tend to use them. And I remember when I used to take a pet to a vet. It was the cheapest thing I had to do.
But what am I talking about? My dog had to have an eye removed. That cost us like $3,000.
$3,000 to
Can you
remove
pay
the
in
eye?
installments? No, that's-
Yeah, something like that.
Couldn't you just take him home and use an ice pick or something?
It's kind of a major surgery.
I think I
Take
saw.
out an eyeball.
I think I saw. I think I just saw Josh wince. Yeah, but the cost of everything is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean,
everything's more expensive. Alex, you know how much? I don't know if you guys know this. I went to take my niece to Dunkin' Donuts, right, in Forest Hills. A coffee culotta. I says, Rebecca, get what you want. Coffee culotta, $7.50 for a fucking coffee culotta.
How much did it used to
For a
cost?
scoop of ice cream, Alex? $4. I says, you got to be kidding me.
Well, they got to raise their prices because their prices for the stuff that they use is has gone up in price.
The Dunkin' Donuts.
You know how much it costs to go to to go to Disneyland now? It's like just to get in on a special price. I just saw the TV. Like a discounted price was $100 per person.
Wow.
And that's just to get in. And then when you're in there, you're each going to spend another $50 to $100. Say you have a family of 5, it's going to cost you at least $1,000 to go to Disneyland for one day.
Yeah.
And then you're probably not going to go for one day. You're going to be there for a couple of days, and then you have to pay the couple of days price.
Yeah, so it's going to cost you $2-3 grand plus the hotel and food.
Yeah.
A good place not to go to.
Yeah.
It used to be cheap.
I mean, I remember we went to Disney. My mother, I couldn't realize it, but I was too small. We couldn't afford to stay in Disney because I didn't know. I was like 7 at the time. My father used to stay outside of Disney, and we used to always cry when we had to leave.
Well, I told Marjorie, I said, we should just hop down to, Epcot, down to Disney World.
I like Epcot because AC.
You go down to Disney World and spend a couple of days. And she's absolutely not.
Well, she never went?
No, but she absolutely not. And I'm going,
Really?
well, why? It's just, so it's a silly place,
Epcot was nice.
And she won't go to Vegas at all.
Really?
Yeah, she won't go to Vegas at all. And I just said, it's not great. It's the silliest. I think it's the silliest place in America.
You're right. There's no clocks in the hotels.
Yeah, well, but more than that, what? I'm going to go there so I can see the Eiffel Tower in miniature. Why don't I go to France? I think it's a better idea. But I said we could go for a couple of days. It's just goofy. It's just goofy.
Good restaurants.
The restaurants aren't that good.
I was
Stay home and burn your money.
Jenny, so I shouldn't talk when I was there. My brother was yelling at me.
Yeah.
At least at Disney, you
Like
can see.
Wait, let Don talk.
It was something typically silly. At least if you went to Disney, you could see Goofy.
Yes, you could. You could. But I just what I wanted to do. If you go to Disney World and you've got like a friend, a person you're there with, who has say mobility problems, say he's can't walk or he's just retarded, okay? They'll give you a wheelchair to use. So I was going to go down there with my friend Chuck Farnham, and I said, "What we'll do is we'll go down there. We'll get one of these wheelchairs. We'll put you in it because you look retarded." Okay, I said, and then we'll just stand there in the middle of Disney World with me slapping you, saying, "I told you, you're a gimp. You can't get up." And just videotape the reactions of people to that, But anyway. How many here have been to, anybody been to Disneyland? Well, you have, right? Yeah, of course. And
I've been to Disneyland, Paris,
you went
and
to Paris?
Disney World in.
Well, I've been to Disney World. I've been to Disneyland. I was in Paris, but of course, Marjorie wouldn't go to Disney World in Paris,
Well, it's not that good. The ones here are way better.
You have some out where you are, right, Bree?
Yeah.
In Asia?
We do. Yeah, they're building one now in Abu Dhabi or Dubai, somewhere in the UAE. They're building one. But I've been to the one in Shanghai and Hong Kong, and in LA.
Yeah. Okay, so there are more. There's one in Japan, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there isn't one in China, I don't believe.
I don't think so.
No. They simply have the,
Ray, I see that if you save your ticket for a family of 4 for going to Disneyland, you get $25 off your next crown. $100 to get in. Whoa.
And Minnie Mouse.
I think it costs more than $100 to get.
No, this was a special deal I saw in the commercial during Jeopardy.
Really?
Yeah. It was it was like a special price, $100. I'm sure it costs more than that normally.
Well, the price of everything is just sky high,
Oh yeah, just to go buy a damn sandwich at a deli costs you $20.
Yes, we go to this one restaurant Marjorie likes.
Well, not Subway. Yeah.
Well, I just got one.
Yeah. Well, if I have a problem going to the bathroom, I can go to that place and buy one of their subs.
Subway or Taco Bell will do it for you.
Yeah. By the way, they treat their people terribly at Subway. You know that, don't you?
Really?
I deal directly with the owner there.
Oh, that's good. That's all right.
Which means I get shorted half the meat usually, but.
Really? Oh, okay.
But what advantage is it then?
No, I'm joking about that.
Anyway, so, it's just that we used to go to this restaurant, this Italian restaurant, and we like it, and it's good, and the calamari and the tiramisu, the best tiramisu I think I can get anywhere.
Is that where I went with you? I think so.
No, there's another place that we go.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, we would go there, maybe we'd come out of there for, $40 maybe? $45. We went in the other day. We came out with tip and everything. I spent $100. Yep. This for lunch. This is a lunch place. Huh?
Crazy.
Yeah, everything got expensive. Is the portions bigger, Alex? I'm noticing my brother.
No, as a matter of fact, I pointed out to Marjorie the tiramisu, which we love, comes in a cup. The cup was always filled to the top of the tiramisu.
Cutting down.
About a third missing now.
See? Wow. You're cutting the portions
down. Price, less tiramisu.
We're getting screwed since Trump in an office.
No, it's screwed everywhere.
Well, this shrinkflation and stuff started before Trump.
It was a COVID thing.
Yeah. But of course we could be having lunch with Bree right now and paying $2.50 for a five course meal.
That's
So,
ugly.
yeah. There's only one problem. We got to move to Malaysia. So,
That's it. I can't leave the country. I would go crazy.
Why can't you leave the country?
I don't know, because I've never left the
Because
country.
quite frankly, we all like you to.
I know.
I mean, not even on vacation.
What?
No, I actually went to Canada once, Ray. When I was small, so I guess that
Wait a minute.
counts.
Show us what was just delivered to your table.
What'd you get?
Show us what was just delivered to your table. Look, here's his. This is your full lunch, is it?
He likes fish.
Yeah, look at that.
Holy moly.
Oh my God.
What did that cost for all that sushi and sashimi?
$5. Why are we still living here?
No shit.
$5?
That would easily cost $35, $40.
They don't call that a California roll there, do they?
But they do have that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's say hello to Kevin. Who? What's happening, Kevin? What's new in your life?
Not much.
Every time I ask you that, you say not much, and I'm thinking to myself, is this life really that boring? I mean, I know mine is that boring. What? When I can
just got off the
what? Good. But say it.
No, good.
No, go.
No, I was just saying I'll get off the phone with my real estate agent if that's exciting to you.
Oh, okay. That would be good. I
hope so.
Yeah, I mean, when the biggest thing that's happened to Marjorie and I all week is the dental appointment. You know, our life is, let's.
Don't you like it when you get older? I was noticing this the other day. Just about half my phone book on my iPhone starts with doctor.
You know, I have quite a few. I don't have as many as Marjorie's got. You know, it's her social life are going to doctors. Yeah, she has. She's got a doctor for every part of her body.
I hate the doctor.
Well, I prefer not to go.
I know. I'm like you, Alex. I get that.
I have a couple who are essential to my well-being.
Yeah,
and
I like my urologist,
and that's my urologist and my hematologist for the for the leukemia. And outside of that, I really don't need much more than that. Although I do have a GP, and I do have a what else do I have? Oh, I have a neurologist. He's worthless. He's just,
you got a neurologist?
Yeah, he's worthless. He's just.
I'm trying to follow my friend. I'm trying to follow you. Remember, you gave me prostrate. I followed you with that.
There've got to be more drugs than the one that I'm taking that will help me with my neuropathy.
You were going to email me your contact information on your urologist.
Oh yes, I got to do that. I will send it to you. He's really good too. I like him.
He does house calls. You'll be fine, Don. You won't even have to leave the house.
You won't have to leave bed.
How about a proctologist? You got a proctologist?
Well, you know something? What the proctologist deals with what? I can't figure out what they...
Your booty.
What's your
booty?
Is that on the menu too?
That was a dinner.
It's the only position where you start at the bottom and stay there.
Yeah, no, but a proctologist deals with, I believe, the butt, right?
Yeah.
But so does I have a what do you call it? A guy who's a gastroenterologist who does the same thing.
Yeah.
So what's the difference? I mean, why would you become a proctologist when you could become a gastroenterologist? Because the proctologist is just sticking fingers where the sun don't shine all day, but a gastroenterologist is looking at your esophagus and all things like that, and
that's right. They do a lot more.
Yeah,
they do a lot more.
Yeah, and
I went to see my heart surgery guy.
My heart surgery guy. You mean the heart surgeon?
Well, he's
Like,
a cardiologist.
Cardiologist.
Those are the big ones.
Yes.
Surgical cardiologist.
And what did he say? Is everything
He
good?
went over. Then we were talking about all these things that are going on, and he's checking this thing and that thing, and I'm asking about questions, and Pam's there. She's manager surgeon also. Anyway, we go over it, and he goes, he says, "You're a very interesting guy. I like to talk to you a lot."
Maybe he'll keep you alive for another 10 years.
Well,
You get a bonus.
He's just saying that's because he's hoping he'll have another stroke.
Yeah.
It's good for
Actually,
business.
What's going on?
he gave me a new pacemaker.
Did you see dollar signs in his eyes?
Nah,
No.
stuff.
Do you have to install it yourself, or is he?
No, I don't. I'm not allowed to do that.
Well, I brought this up to my my dentist today as we were driving back. I said, I have an argument with Marjorie. I said, I assume you are a good dentist. You've done work on me, and it seems to stay, and it works. But I, as a consumer, don't know the difference between whether you're a good dentist or a bad dentist. Because she was talking about some people she met who were terrible dentists,
Really?
Yeah, and she learned a lot from them how not to be a bad dentist, okay?
I would love to
And
hear
I
those
said, we don't know the difference between a good
Yeah.
dentist and a bad dentist. If the guy's got a good, bedside manner, then we're all, we're fans of that dentist,
Yeah.
okay? But I still don't know. I said, I don't know. I assume you're a great dentist. I think you are. You seem to be very efficient at what you do and so on. But I cannot tell the difference. I can only say, hey, I like you, and that's why I'm going to you.
You're right.
Did
It's
she
almost
tell
like-
you how you can tell?
She said that there are a lot of bad dentists out there.
I believe that.
She said,
But she didn't say how to know if one
well,
is a
she
bad
said
dentist.
the difference is a lot of them don't go to get study the latest stuff.
Oh yeah.
Updates.
Okay.
Boy.
For instance, she told me that this laser that she has costs $50,000. Okay, but you can't buy one unless you pay $30,000 to take a complete course on how to use them.
Oh, yeah.
He said, so some people will not have those because they don't want to go through that. They don't go and do the updating of their information in their brain. She says, we're constantly going to studies.
She's on the cutting edge.
Huh?
She's on the cutting edge because when I got my crown, I think, Alex, they made it. She had a machine downstairs that she made it the same day. And,
Oh, they have that now.
Yeah, I went to it. I went to my brother's.
It's like a laser. It's like a laser thing.
It is a laser, and it cuts a piece of cubic zirconia, or the not.
I had to sit in a chair like an hour. My brother's dentist. And she came in to do it.
Zirconia.
Yeah.
My dentist,
Real hard material.
my dentist told me that he got his degree on YouTube. He's okay. I
You
like
must
this
be
guy.
going to the same dentist Tony's going to.
Oh, man.
I bet you could learn how to be a dentist on YouTube. I bet there are lessons for that,
When my anesthesiologist gave to me my nerve blocking my knee, he actually turned to me and said, I said, well, that was amazing. And he goes, yeah, well, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos. That's what he said.
That was in,
Oh, boy.
there was a show called Resident Alien.
Yeah,
That's a great show.
Did you see that? Yeah, and the
Yeah.
guy, the alien takes over a doctor's body and he has to deliver a baby. He's watching YouTube.
There's a new season coming out next month.
Oh, that's good.
Anyway,
I love that
I'm
show.
playing the theme song. By the way, there's no Amy tonight. There was no Amy last night, but there was no Amy the night before. But she'll be back again, I think, next Wednesday. But she won't be on tonight. So Alan, you can go to sleep early. Charlie already got out of here because he's pussy whipped now and he has to pick up his girlfriend's.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Grandson.
But you know something? You gotta be. Okay? So, I mean, it's. Remember, the woman is always right. Look at him. He's eating his heart out. Anyway, thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it. And thank you to Josh for being here tonight and giving us some information about the succession. Thank you, Alan, for being here. I can't tell you, Don, how much I like it when you're here.
I was going to talk about Harry Einstein, but there's no time.
Harry Einstein.
And where's the folder? Where's the folder?
No, he was the guy who we can say this just quickly. He's the guy that died at the Lucille Ball roast at the Friars Club. He just did a killer set, sat down, and passed out and died. And you know,
I'll just make this really quick. After he was, I think they did open heart surgery for him. The MC Art Linkletter asked Tony Martin to sing a song. Martin's unfortunate choice was "There's No Tomorrow."
Yes, I heard that. And now the other, I guess the trivia question is, who were Harry Einstein's sons?
Yeah, there's a mention that Albert Brooks actually.
Well, the answer is Albert Brooks and Bob Einstein. Yeah.
Oh, Albert Brooks put in 2 references to his dad in defending his life. When he's at the he's died, and he's got he's in a nightclub watching a terrible comedian, and the comedian says, "How'd you die?" Albert replies, "On stage like you."
Anyway, thank you very much, Don. Thank you very much to Tony. Thanks to our good friend Renata, and Bree, who eats his heart out every time we have him here. And finally, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it. Everybody, give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye at you. See you again, let's see here, next Wednesday, same time, same station in life. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her.